Hey guys, it's Panda here. In this video I'm going to be covering Task Force Radio for Arma 3. I'm going to start off with how to get the plugin installed, how to get your keys set up, all the basics. Once I've covered that, at the end of the video I'll go over all the advanced functions, including long-range radios, setting up additional channels and the different functions of the radios. So if you already have it all installed and you just want to find out more about the advanced functions, I'll leave a note and you can skip to the end. Where I'll cover off those advanced functions, but if you've never even set it up and you're here to figure out how to do that, we'll get into that now. So for this I'm going to assume that you've already got the Task Force Radio mod installed and you've already got TeamSpeak installed. So what you need to do is navigate to the Task Force Radio folder. If you've installed it through Steam like I did, easiest way to get to it is just to go into your Arma launcher here, find Task Force Radio, click this little drop down box, go to these three little dots here, and go open folder in Windows Explorer. I understand. It'll bring up all of the mods that you've got installed through the workshop, and just open up Task Force Radio. Now, no matter how you got here, all you need to do from here to get the plugin installed is just under the TeamSpeak folder here, Task Force Radio, double click, it'll bring up this little installer, hit install. Yes, we're happy with all of these warnings here. Yes, all done, nice and easy. So if you've got TeamSpeak open already, you would need to close it and open it again for this to take effect. But we'll move on to how to get everything set up in TeamSpeak now. Okay, so there's not really much we need to do in TeamSpeak. We just need to make sure that you've got the add-on enabled. So just head to Tools and then to Options, and under Add-ons, just make sure you have Task Force Arma 3 Radio here. If it's not enabled, just enable it, apply and OK. Just make sure that's all set up like this. And then the only other thing you'll want to do while you're here is head into Capture, set up push to talk to a button that is not caps lock. So for me, I've got this set to a macro button. Now this is going to be your local chat while you're in game. So once you've got Task Force set up, you'll have caps lock for talking over the radio, and then you'll have this particular key just for talking to local chat when you're standing next to someone, just having a yarn. So once you've got all that set up, we're good to go and we can head in game. Okay, now that we're in game, we've got our plugin on TeamSpeak set up correctly. We just need to make sure we've got a few keys bound correctly, and we'll be ready to go. So just to begin with, we just need to head into Options, Controls. Under Add-ons, TFAR, we just need to make sure we've got our shortwave transmit set up. Set this to whatever you want your radio button to be. Caps lock's a good one. Head back to Configure Base under Multiplayer, and just make sure you've got Push to Talk set up as the same key. So in this case, caps lock. That's all we should need for now. Head back out. Okay, so now that we've got our keys set up, I'm just going to run through the quick basics of how to get your radio going, so you can just jump into a mission right away. So we need to grab ourselves a radio. The radios do change. Generally, they're all exactly the same, but for this example, we'll use the most popular radio, the ANPRC here. We'll put that in our inventory. Now to open up the menu for it, it's Control and P by default. This obviously can be changed, but Control P is the default binding there. Now, to get yourself pretty much in the action right away, just only thing you need to know, this is the frequency. So generally, most squads will have a frequency that you need to use. Let's say, for example, we need to use 123.5. We can just click in there and type it, 123.5, or you can press clear, 123.5, and to get it set, you just press set frequency. So from now on, as long as we stay in channel 1, if I press caps lock, you can see that I'm now transmitting over that frequency. So with that in mind, you just have to press escape to close it and you're ready to go. So from here we're going to move into slightly more advanced features of the radios, a few extra things that we can do, but if all you need to know is how to get going, you should be able to go from here. Okay, so the next feature I wanted to cover was just how to use the different channels. So we know how to set one frequency on one particular channel. First thing are these keys here, which also the numpad on your keyboard will change between them as well. By default, you can have up to 8 frequencies stored. 8. So you can change all of these independently, same key bindings, clearing and typing and pressing enter to select the frequency. It's all exactly the same. So you just use these for different squads, different vehicles, things along those lines. Okay, so the next feature we're going to cover here is the setting of an additional channel. So not many people really use this or actually really know about it, but it can be incredibly handy if you've got multiple people you need to hear at once, for example CAS, or for example your command channel. So how you do this is quite simple. We have our channel 1, this is going to be our squad in this example, and then we just need to pick any other channel, doesn't matter which other one you choose. Let's go for 2. Let's say 207.5 is going to be our command channel. Now all you need to press is set additional. So the C will change to an A. You can see down here additional channels number 2, and this is now set, this is the additional. Now we need to swap back to our main channel or our squad channel. You can see frequency here and additional still number 2. So what this means is that whilst being able to hear and transmit on 37.9, we'll also be able to hear any chatter that comes through 207.5. So through the key bindings you can actually set it up so that you can transmit through the additional channel as well. It comes standard set to T, which is a terrible key for it, so definitely recommend changing that. But it's really handy if you've got multiple people you need to hear, or even say for example like a buddy squad, if you want to just be able to chat to your buddy without kind of going over main comms. It's a really handy tool. Just once you get it set up correctly and you get the swing of it, yeah, you'll find it really handy. To take it a little bit further, we're actually going to set it up so that we can hear different frequencies through different ears. Now this works no matter what. If say you're sick of hearing it through both ears, you can just change your main channel, but this works really well with the thing we just learned about setting up additional channels. So all you need to press then is the stereo settings. As you can see, it's toggling down here what ear it's going to come through. So by default it's left and right, but we can go left, right, or both. So for this example, we'll say that our MIS squad is going to be coming through the left, and go back to our additional channel, which was our command channel, and we can set that to come through our right ear only. So we hear command on the right, squad on the left, and we'll be able to respond accordingly. Makes it a little bit easier to cut through the chatter. Final couple of keys that I want to run over is just the volume, as you can see, up and down, and the other one is speakers. So this changes between headphones and speakers. Headphones comes through your ears only. Speakers will transmit anything that comes through the radio to your local area. It's really quite a pain in the ass if you're doing that with your shortwave radio, because everybody can generally hear the same thing. They'll just be hearing it twice. But if you've got something like a long range that's linked up to command, or say a vehicle radio, you set it to speaker, that way that everybody else can hear what the person's saying without actually having to have a long range radio themselves. It's quite handy. Okay, now speaking of long range radios, I'll quickly run through those. They work exactly the same as the shortwave. Everything we've learned so far applies to them directly, but long range radios have a, well, surprise surprise, a longer range. Also vehicles come equipped with these, so you can set these up the same way through the vehicle. Works the same with these backpack ones. So we'll put it on here. Now instead of Control P that we've been using, the key to bring up the menu for your long range is Alt and then P. It looks a little bit different here, but everything is exactly the same. So same thing for setting channels, same thing for the volumes, stereo speakers, clearing the frequency. We can just set ourselves, say, 12.3. We set that in. It's out of the range, but you get what I mean. Everything's functionally the same. It's just Alt P to bring it up, and instead of caps lock, as you can see here for shortwave, you press Control and then caps lock by default, and that will bring up your long range transmission. It's quite handy for vehicles and things along those lines, and all of the tips that we've learned so far as stereo speakers, setting additional things like that, all work exactly the same here. Okay, so the only thing that I haven't really covered in this video, and I'm not really going to touch on too much, are dive radios. So as you can see here in the Task Force radio controls, there is something called a DD transmit. So that's actually a dive radio. Now they're obviously handy when you're diving, because your normal radios will not work when you're in the water, but these radios in particular only work while you're underwater. That's everything I'm going to be covering for this video. If there's anything that I've missed out, anything else that you want to know, let me know. This should be everything. I'll try and get this updated if anything does change with Task Force Radio, but I hope this helps, whether you're new and you just need to get set up, or whether you're just here to learn some additional tips. I hope this helps you out.